Hey, so Rich Tyson here with you. I wanted to give a quick follow-up on the video that I posted about a week ago regarding the survey that Under One Roof and some of us had collaborated on putting together to gather data for the meeting that's coming up with some of these legislators here in New York. So again, thank you for anybody that participated, and thank you for, I know a ton of you shared it and spread the word, and it really means a lot. I think the more data we have, the better for both our purposes and certainly for out of respect for the time of the legislators that do choose to meet with us. I'd like to share a little bit of the preliminary data that came out of this that was kind of surprising. So far we've gotten over 400 responses out of the 500 that we initially set out for, and we are full court press this week. Hopefully by Friday I'd like to get 100 more responses. So if you've not filled it out, please take the time to do so. If you know someone who is a landlord, housing provider, especially someone that's, suffering under the moratorium and the Tenant Protection Act provisions, please get them to fill it out. Those are the voices we really need to hear the most. But out of the over 400 responses we've had, here's just kind of some of the numbers on it, and some of these are pretty surprising. So total number of units owned across those 400 respondents, 21,659. The percentage of vacant and non-paying units is over 20%. It's 20.49%, at least that's as of the results as of this morning, of which 3.9% are actually physically vacant, which means 18% of the units that over 400 respondents have right now, 18% of them are non-paying, which I think is really shocking. But to see that the effective vacancy rate right now that folks are experiencing is over 20% is staggering. The annual tax burden across all of these properties is $28.5 million. And the lost rents, here's the one that really jumps out at me, is $14.5 million. Now again, this is across all of the respondents. I know myself, I lost more than my entire property tax burden last year, which is why I started picking up this cause and also hearing stories of other folks essentially in the same type of position. But, out of these 400 respondents, and some of these folks are doing probably worse than I am. Some of them are obviously doing better. But across these 400 respondents, they've lost half of their property tax liability last year alone. So that's obviously something that's of great concern. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is something that we've been working on, because some folks have been asking, well, what is it that you guys are going to be advocating for? What is this legislative meeting going to look like? So I'm going to put it up on the screen for you to take a look at while I read along. So we've put together the Under One Roof, basically kind of our asks of the legislature. So I'll read it while you guys take a look. COVID hardship. Protect every tenant suffering a COVID-related hardship from eviction, legal action, or judgments, and protect every landlord who is housing a tenant suffering a COVID-related hardship from bankruptcy and financial ruin. Accountability, it's a word I focus on a lot in these conversations. Those taking advantage of the moratorium at the detriment of the truly COVID affected and residents causing a nuisance or danger to other residents or the property should be held accountable and have court cases processed. Hardship declaration. The COVID hardship declaration should require proof and spell out the consequences for providing false information. Due process should be allowed for challenges to the hardship declaration. Taxes. Tax due date should be delayed until rent assistance payments are made to landlords. Fees and penalties for late taxes should be canceled if landlord has non-paying tenants. And lastly, rent. Dollar for dollar reimbursement for lost rent from March 2020 to present is required to keep landlords operating and providing housing for residents. So I think it's important for you guys to understand what the specific asks are. These are very well thought out. These were ones that a group of us were working on, a group of us housing providers were working on prior to kind of getting together on this. I think we've had some really fantastic dialogue over the course of the past few weeks in conjunction with the survey results coming in and what we're hearing from housing providers across the state. Another thing that I would like to touch on is some of you have asked about, have I heard back from the county executive or the mayor on the correspondence that I'd sent to them after receiving correspondence from the governor's office telling me that my tax, liabilities are not his issue, and the lost rents, not coming in is something he's not going to address. I did send those over to the county executive and the mayor prior to Christmas. It's now the 19th of January. I have yet to receive, let alone a request to sit down and discuss, but I haven't even received an acknowledgement that they've received it. So I don't know if they are inundated with other folks sending correspondence much like mine and they don't know how to handle it all, or if they just don't care or, to pick up the phone and call back and even engage on this issue. But it's certainly something that, that they're going to have to get involved in, in one way or another. So I'll leave you guys with that. I will ask, I'm going to put a link in the description below for the survey again, please. It's now Tuesday, the 19th. We're not going to have the meetings this week, but we would really, really like to have the final data compiled and ready for, just for us to digest ourselves and get it ready for these meetings with the legislators coming up, hopefully in the near future. So if you haven't filled out the survey, please do. If you know someone who should be filling this out, please copy and paste, send them a link, text it to them, share the video. But let's try to, full court press for another 100 responses. I really feel that 500 is going to be the magic number for us to have. And again, thank you for all the efforts that all of you are putting forth in this. Thank you for sharing these videos. Thank you for talking it up. And on we go. See you soon.